Well, life is a journey, and that means that we need to begin with the end in mind. So, what would your life look like if you would start living right now with your very end in mind? This is Agora Cafe, where faith and culture meet. My name is Rudolf Buerta, and we can explore this topic a little more today. Research has shown us that we are notoriously bad at making decisions that make us happy, or that actually get us to the end that we envision, if we actually do envision one. So I want to explore this topic today by way of drawing on a very popular Hollywood movie, The Book of Eli, where Denzel Washington plays the main role. It's a fascinating story. It's a post-apocalyptic story that most of the earth have been scorched and demolished by an apocalyptic event. What exactly it was, we don't know. They always talk about a kind of a light. But this is a story of, it's a very good tale that tells us something about ending well and finishing strong. Denzel Washington plays this guy named Eli that goes through a barren wasteland on a road, step by step, moving through all kinds of distractions in life, and but with a very important mission. So what's it all about? In the Bible, the idea of finishing strong and well is an extremely important topic. The whole idea of hope in the Bible is very important. Looking to the future, looking to where we're actually heading, and actually guiding our steps every day, making decisions that will actually get us there. So what can we learn from this movie? What spiritual truths can we really derive from this movie that's also biblical? Remember, this is a Hollywood movie. It's not the gospel. So God reveals himself partly and not completely in the story. So the person of Eli and the person of the antagonist and all the role players inside of the story are not complete and exhaustive examples of Christian life, but we can still learn and derive a lot of principles from it that is actually biblical. So there are 4 things that we can learn from this movie. I think, now, of course, this movie has a lot of layers. It can be rather complex as well, but it's got a very simple plot line and main thrust right through the story. And there are 4 things that I think that we can really learn, that we learn from Eli, that helped him finish at the end destination of where he actually wanted to go. And so the first one is just this: travel light, because in this life we are pilgrims, not settlers. If you're on a journey and you're on the road, you just see that you need to travel light. There's not a lot of baggage you can take with you to weigh yourself down. In the movie, you see quite a few cinematic scenes where you just see the road from afar, and this lonely figure, this lonely traveler going ahead step by step, put every foot in front of the other, just day by day doing the same thing. But when you travel and you don't have a truck or U-Haul truck, when you travel afoot, there's not a lot you can carry. When we look at the life of Eli, we see that he has only the clothes on his back. We see that he has a machete, he has a gun, he has a backpack, and a Bible. That's the things that he traveled with. And it actually makes a lot of sense. Jesus also invites us to actually travel light. In Matthew chapter 10, when he sends out the disciples, he portrays a way of looking at the world, of looking at our mission, that we should never be too attached to the things in this world, because in this world, we are sojourners and we are travelers, we are resident aliens, we don't always fit. So it's not bad to have a lot of money, it's not bad to be rich, of course not, and to make a contribution also economically to society, but never be bogged down by those things, and make sure that you value the right things and that you keep your focus on the right stuff. When you look at Eli, there are remarkable parallels between him and the Apostle Paul. Both of them are people of the road. If we look at in the book of Acts, we see that when Luke starts telling about the story of Paul, he starts telling about the people of the way, the people of the road. Paul started persecuting the people of the road, and it's on the road, on Damascus, that he meets the living Christ. And he refers back to that moment frequently. He becomes the apostle of the road. When he writes his letters, he tells us about it. It's being estimated that the apostle Paul, right through the beginning of his life to the very end, approximately walked about between 16 and 18,000 kilometers on foot. In his letters, like in Ephesians, he uses the spiritual metaphor of walking, peripatein or peripateo in Greek. He walks the path. We have to walk the walk. And that's the story of Eli in the book of Eli. We need to, but there are the parallels as well. Not only are both of them people of the road, they are both moving to the west. In the book of Eli, Eli is on his way to the west. He knows where he needs to end up. He needs to get to the west coast, where he believes that the book that he's carrying, this message that he's carrying, can be used and can be preserved for future generations and can really mean something to someone. They're always moving to the west. Paul's plan was always in the New Testament to end up in the west. He sits in Corinth at one point in Acts chapter 20, and he looks to the east to all the churches that he's already established, and he looks further to the west to Rome, and he decides, that's where I want to go. I want to go west and to present and bring the gospel to the far ends of the earth as they saw it and in a time of antiquity. Paul also, like Eli, encounters a lot of resistance. And that resistance always comes from religious people. We're going to talk a little bit about that just in a moment. But there are a lot of similarities. And of course, then Eli ends with the same prayer that Paul ends with as well, to which we will allude just a little bit later on. But that brings us to the second point. If you're the sojourner, a pilgrim on the road, which we are in this life, in this life we are only passing through, that does not mean that this life is not important. That's not to mean that we shouldn't put everything into this life that we can. We should just not be too attached. But the second point is just this: value the right things. The apocalypse in the book of Eli stripped the world of civilization, and all of a sudden, people started treasuring things that they took for granted previously. Water, all of a sudden, became priceless. In the book of Eli, at one point, Eli comes into a bar and the guy asks him, "What do you want?" And he says, "I want water." To which the guy replies, "Oh, well, that's the good stuff. You need to be able to pay for that." Water has become the most coveted after substance. And today, we actually just take it for granted. But for people like us in a pre-apocalyptic era where we have plenty, we don't always realize how valuable it is what we have until we don't have it anymore. The second thing is, in this post-apocalyptic world, that books are a complete rarity. There are almost no books left, and people crave after knowledge. And of course, Eli carries the Bible. It's the only known left version of the Bible, and he treasures that. But the antagonist in the movie, Bill Carnegie, played by Gary Oldman, also covets the Bible, and he also wants to acquire the Bible, but for very, very different reasons. He wants to use that to control people, whereas Eli wants to use that to enlighten people and to actually serve the community. There's this one scene where some of his people came back from the road and they brought Bill Carnegie a small little bottle of shampoo, but they don't really know what it is. They don't know the value of soap. They don't know what it is. And so Bill takes it and he says, "Oh man, this is a good thing. Well done." And then he presents it, of course, to Solara's mom. Was it so-called girlfriend in the movie? I'm not really sure. At least she played the role as he's kind of a slave. But things that were extremely commonplace pre-war became absolutely priceless in this era. I actually laughed out loud when at one point, he came into the shop to get some of his equipment charged, and the guy wants him to pay, and he takes all kinds of what I consider to be valuable things out of his backpack, and the guy's just not impressed until he took out this little KFC weight wipes that's still closed and sealed. And when he produced that, the guy was, "Oh man, thank you. You can pay me with that. I'll take that." for me to charge your piece of equipment. And that's an important lesson to us. The Bible helps us to understand what we need to value in this life, to value relationships, not things, to use things and love people, not love things and abuse people. Value the things that are really important, value God, value Christ. That is so extremely important. The third point is the whole idea of perseverance. There's a phrase that is commonplace from the beginning of the movie until the very end, and those are the words that Eli says to himself over and over: stay on the path, stay on the road. Because on this road there are a lot of distractions, there are villainous people, there are towns run by thugs, there are all kinds of people that would like to distract Eli from his path, including the antagonist, Bill Carnegie. He wants to get Eli to remain in his town, to get the Bible from him, he would like, and he makes some generous offers towards Eli. But Eli is persistent. He knows what his mission is. Stay on the road. Don't detract in any direction. Don't go any which way around. Stay on the road. Know what you're about. Don't fall for the pressure, and know where you want to end, and stick to the road that will actually get you there. As we mentioned previously, one of the big distractions here is supremely important, and that is the idea of legalistic religion. Bill Carnegie represents the kind of religious nature of a lot of people. We know that the Christian faith does not talk about itself as a religion in the general sense that other religions do. It's a relationship with God. It's a relationship with Christ. But for Bill Carnegie, he also wants the Bible, as I said before, but he wants it to control. He wants it to manipulate people. And that is religion to a large extent. And by that, I don't mean that all things in all other religions are bad or immoral. Quite to the contrary. But that is the one big difference between the Christian faith and between other legalistic religions. You can use religion for bad. Of course you can. Any good thing can be used for bad. And Carnegie does want the Bible, the good thing, the message of God. He wants that, but he wants to use that to control. And that brings us to a very, very important point, that in our journey, where we follow Christ, all kinds of religious pursuits can really deter us from our road, and we should be determined to actually stay connected with Christ, stay connected with God, and not allow us to be deterred, because religion can become a severe distraction. And it also answers some of the question, if religion is so good, why is there always violence committed in the name of religion? Well, Bill Carnegie and the role that he plays in Book of Eli explains that we can actually expect that bad people will always use what is good for their own benefit. And that goes for religion as well. And that brings us to the fourth point, and that is that Eli actually has an apprentice. He travels with Solara, played by Mila Kunis, and in the very end, when Eli arrives at Alcatraz on the very west coast, he delivers the Bible. Actually, what's very cool is he hasn't got the physical book of the Bible anymore. Carnegie has it. But luckily for us, or for Eli, he memorized the whole Bible. And it's very symbolic. This movie is not a perfect movie. It's full of violence. But I think violence in this movie is very symbolic as a spiritual kind of battle we engage ourselves in when we become travelers on the road, when we follow Christ. And so we see that in the very end, Eli not only regurgitates the Bible like a parrot, but he internalized the message. It became part of him. And that's why he was able to deliver it from heart. He delivers that, and Solara, his young apprentice, takes up, after he has given his life, he passed away. She took his machete, his backpack, his earphones, and she starts on the same road, going forth with the mission that he left to her. She does what he does. She has the same values, the values that he had, the faith that he had, rubbed off on her, and she became a part of his legacy. What a great way. Then the whole movie ends with a prayer of Paul in 2 Timothy 4, 6 and 7. I fought the good fight. I finished the race. I kept the faith. That was where Eli wanted to get. That was what his aim was at the end of his life. begin with the end in mind, and that was what he had in mind. We see that in Acts chapter 20, when he spoke, when he had a discussion with the elders of Ephesus. He told them, although I value my life, the only thing I want is to complete the task that was laid before me, that God has given me. What deters you from your path? What are some of the temptations that you experience on your path? I would like to hear what you think. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. That would really, really help and empower me. And don't forget to like it. Until next time.